All right. So today we have Folks Finance team with Alpha Growth. Let us just reintroduce ourselves. It's been a while for us to do AMAs. Alpha Growth is the place to meet with early stage projects, established projects, VCs, and also ecosystems. And we are here to help projects get grants and do general biz dev and go to market. So, and today we have Folks Finance. Guys are built on Algorand. Super excited to know more about Algorand and what you guys are doing and what's the future of lending and borrowing. So let's kick this off. I have here from my team, Joe and Brian. Please, guys, introduce yourselves as well. And I'm Rebecca, by the way.
Very cool. Brian Culligan, founder of Alpha Growth. I've been in crypto for a really long time. Super excited to meet you guys, talk to you guys about what you're doing on Algorand. We were talking to Shamir from the Algorand Foundation, and you guys popped up in one of our data feeds as one of the fastest growing DeFi projects in the entire space. And so it was really cool. We got to connect and show that information back to the foundation, and thought it would be good to get you guys on an AMA. We have a whole bunch of questions. We love what you're doing, and happy to talk with you guys today.
And I'm Joe. I'm also on the Alpha Growth team on BD side of things, but super excited to hear everything you guys are working on, and also got a few questions as well for later. But yeah, I'll hand it back to Rebecca.
Cool. Let's also hear from Benedetto and Ibo. How are you doing, guys?
Sometimes I hear Rebecca cutting off. I don't know if it's just me.
I guess he's having connection issues.
Yeah, let me change my internet.
I'll introduce myself. My name's Ibu. I work for Folks Finance as head of partnerships, head of ecosystem partnerships. I have been in the Algorand space for a few years. I'd say about two to 3 years, depending on how you slice it. At first, I was running a page called Algo HQ, on which I made and still make educational videos about various things happening in the Algorand space, news, updates, tech, etc. And I also work for Folks Finance, connecting us with other projects, building partnerships, creating media, and all around trying to grow this amazing project that we have.
Okay, my connection is back, and I can hear everyone perfectly now. So first of all, thanks guys for having us here. That's very exciting. And thanks Rebecca for spelling my name properly. That's very difficult. And congrats, I can tell. Most of the people miss it, but thank you for that. And nice to meet you, all of you, Joe, Rebecca, and Brian. Yes, I am Benedetto Biondi. I am the CEO of Folks Finance, which is a lending protocol which also offer Algo liquid governance built on Algorand, as you said. And very excited to be here and looking forward to hear your question.
Absolutely. I think one of the killer questions in the room is, how'd you guys get involved with Algorand, and how come a money market on Algorand? What got you guys got inspired? Where'd the idea come from?
Yeah, so I'll give you a bit of history, right? So I'm an engineer, and I started to work in blockchain thanks to a software house in Milan. So I was a project manager for this software house for a few years. And the software house was between the 12 first global partner of Algorand. So as a company, we started to use this technology in a very early stage. So we started to switch some of our product into by using Algorand, and then we saw DeFi growing on Algorand, and we were like, oh, we should do something on that. We have already the knowledge. The ecosystem is still small. And then we started to do a bit of a review of what was going on the ecosystem. And we saw there was TinyMan being built. At that time, there was also Yieldly. And we were like, okay, there is a DEX. Surely the missing next key pillar of DeFi is a lending protocol, right? So the lending protocol was also a good idea for us because being Algorand institutionally oriented, and I like to define it, the blockchain for business application trusted by institution. So we thought that a lending protocol is surely a good bet, right? So because Algorand goes towards the traditional finance and not against it, then lending protocol for sure it's a good beginning for this point. And then we just did an accelerator where we met Borderless Capital, and everything started from that. Yes.
Oh, what accelerator did you go through?
It was the Algorand Europe Accelerator cohort of 2021.
And then now you said that's where you met Borderless Capital. Are they one of your main investors?
Yes, they are our main investor, our lead investor, and they are a main investor in Algorand in general, in most of the Algorand projects.
That's very cool. Dude, I was going on your site and a bunch of interesting kind of like variations of things that I've seen before. The thing that really caught my attention was the G Algo token. I would love to like understand that, learn about that, and what you guys are doing there.
Yeah, sure. Basically, this last summer, the previous summer, the Algorand Foundation announced the Algorand governance, which is a decentralized governance participation through Algo commitment in the ecosystem. So everyone that holds Algo can commit those, and the commitment, it requires to keep a minimum balance of the Algo commitment for 3 months. So we saw a potential inefficiency in this from the very beginning, because obviously the users must keep their Algo illiquid, so they can't do much with those. And it's a passive yield, which you could compare basically to, it's like your national bank is paying you a good APR to just sit your money in the bank account. And that's obviously something that, can hurt the economy, because people are willing to spend less Algo because they have it in the governance. And so what we thought is, why don't we do kind of liquid staking, but liquid governance? And we built Gialgo, which is the wrapped version of Algo. And by committing Algo through our liquid governance, not through the Algorand Foundation website, you are minting one-to-one to the Algo commitment, Gialgo. And Gialgo right now is the most used asset after Algo in the ecosystem. You can purchase NFTs, you can play games, you can swap it in DEX, you can provide collateral and borrow against it. It is widely used for real, and this is also Ibu task to spread it, so he can talk more about this later maybe, but that's how it came. Then there are also other advantages, which we came in design and a bit later, not from the very beginning, but for example.
So do you still get to vote with Gialgo?
Get it? Because basically what we do is we collect all the commitment in a very large wallet, and this wallet is voting anyway. So what we do is ask the user to commit with their amount of Algo, to vote with their amount of Algo on our page. So then we collect the votes and we split it. So let's say that 50% vote yes, we vote for 50% yes. So, and the other percentage goes to no. And the people that don't vote are being proportionally split to those that voted.
Got it. So effectively, it's more of like a direct democracy versus like a republic, where in America we have the system where the basically the delegate system. If you win a state, you win all the votes of the state. So you guys don't do it. It's more directly proportional how the Gialgo voters vote.
Correct. It's proportional.
Very cool. That's very cool. And then, of course, then once you have those pools and you have Gialgo, you have your unbonding period or your unlocking period, but then you also have the ability to create this liquid staking pool. Like, I know one of the problems around these Gialgo must be how do you pull in liquidity, how do you get enough liquidity so people can kind of trade in and out?
Yeah, so the design allow it to be very easy for some reason, because the Algorand Foundation distributes the rewards and ends every governance period in 3 months. So what we do is basically we allow the minting of Gialgo and committing during the same commitment as the foundation. So it's the first week. Then the commitment is closed, so we commit the algo collected. And after that, we still allow the minting, because there might be that some people have a loan, so they want to add collateral, and so they want to mint new Gialgo, or for any other reason, right? So the minting is still available. Then once the governance period is closed and the new one is starting, we have a burning period. So this burning period allows the users to burn their Gialgo, and by burning, they are redeeming one-to-one the underlying algo. So these anyone that holds Gialgo can just do it. So doesn't matter if you sell your Gialgo, you are still able to claim your rewards of the governance. And simply someone else who has bought your Gialgo maybe on a DEX can come back and burn it one-to-one to Algo. So by having this 3 months mechanism, we ensure also the peg of the Gialgo, because in 3 months you can always burn one-to-one. So that's what it makes it very safe as well.
I'd also like to highlight a few benefits of Gialgo if I can. Is that all right?
For sure.
Absolutely.
Especially, definitely want to know what can I do as a user with Gialgo.
Yeah, for sure. So there's a few very important benefits to using liquid governance and Gialgo over traditional governance if you are participating in governance. There's also benefits to just buying Gialgo and holding it if you want to do that. But let me start with the first point I'm going to make, which is in traditional governance, one, like Ben highlighted, you need to maintain the algo balance in your wallet, which essentially just makes it locked in there if you want to earn the yield. With liquid governance, you can earn the yield and technically still have the same amount of capital that you had and go and use it elsewhere in the ecosystem. Where you can use it, there are a few places. Of course, you can do various other DeFi strategies with it, whether that be trading it on a DEX, using it for derivatives trading. Actually, we had a platform just integrate that called FXDX. So you can leverage Gialgo or you can use Gialgo as collateral to leverage other assets. You can also spend it on NFTs through sites called Algo X NFT, Alandia. You can actually take loans against your NFTs and receive Gialgo. And you can do various gaming things like there's a game called Algo Seas, which allows you to buy some of their in-game NFTs, in-game items with Gialgo. You can play games on Zone Gaming and use Gialgo to enter pools or get rewarded in Gialgo. And of course, like as we go forward, we'll be continuing to build out these partnerships. But like Ben said, it's very widely used around the ecosystem. Another thing I wanted to mention is that in governance, traditional Algorand Foundation governance, you have to vote on the measures in order to get your yield. In liquid governance, you technically don't need to do that. So we actually make that a lot easier for the users by, if they don't vote, we will simply allocate their vote based on the proportion of other liquid governors voting, right? So for example, let's say if 80% of the people who participated in liquid governance voted, and then that vote of the 80% was split 50-50. The remaining 20% who didn't vote would get their potential votes split 50-50 as well. So we simply distribute that and eliminate that pain point for the user. Also, minting Gialgo is not some other competitors, like some people who do governance products as well. When you mint an algo derivative, you have to take a loan. But our product Gialgo is not a loan; it's simply a derivative. So you can go and take your Gialgo, and you don't even technically need to pay it back at the end of the period. You can go and sell it all if you wanted to, and simply walk away. And you can also early claim your yield up front on the first day of the first day after the commitment period closes. So you don't even need to wait 3 months to get APR. So there's a lot of great things you can do with it that basically upgrade the experience of Algorand governance significantly.
Yeah, there's so many use cases. By the way, guys, any listener, if you want to know how to and where you can use Algo, Folks Finance, they have on their website amazing map, what you can also do. And Ibu mentioned a bunch of projects as well.
All right, so here's the layup question. If I'm bullish on Algorand and the Algorand token, why would I not stake it and lock it up with Algo?
There's no reason not to, truly. I mean, that is a serious layup question, because minting Algo will basically give you the same amount of capital, but you're also contributing to the TVL, which is a very important metric for people who want to come into an ecosystem. They want to see that there's activity.
It sounds like there's a ton more utility too, right?
And we are also forgetting that the APR is also higher, because Folks Finance is being incentivized from the foundation as the other DeFi adoption of the governance, with 7 million additional Algo. So by participating in Folks Finance liquid governance, you are actually earning much more than the Algorand Foundation ordinary governance.
Yeah, in that respect, from my perspective, it's kind of a no-brainer to use it if you're using governance. And there's a lot of strategies you can unlock as well with it. We can get into those later because they are a bit detail heavy, but there's a lot of yield farming strategies that you can unlock while using it, and that's really, really helpful in a bear market like this.
Very cool. One of the other things there's a couple things around money markets that I'm like hyper interested in, which is when you guys are listing a token, can you talk a little bit about that process, or like how do you decide who to partner with and who to list with, and what that looks like? Because obviously you got like a lot of like the blue chip tokens on Algorand there, but when you're kind of looking at other tokens like such as Planet, what was that process like? How did you guys decide and determine to list Planet?
Okay, so here it's slightly complex. There is a full mathematical study. It needs a bit of background on how the protocol works. So first of all, Folks Finance works differently than the other capital markets. So basically, we have a smart contract for each loan. And we have is isolated single collateral with single borrowed asset. So let's do an example. Let's say you are having a collateral of Algo borrowing USDC. How did we determine the parameters of how much you can borrow against Algo, right? So we do this through running a script that matches the price history of those two assets for like the last 3 months, and we check by having a certain loan to value or under collateralization threshold how many liquidation would have occurred with this parameter by using the last 3 months price data, for example. And then we define what's the best parameter set that fits this crypto pair. In that case, was Algo USDC. So this is being used at the same time when we want to add a new token. So we have, let's say, certain minimum requirements of market cap, liquidity in the DEX. Those are important metrics that we look at it when listing a new token. And then we are able also to add small capped token as planets, because we have safety measures on the borrowing side. So basically, when you are using a token as Planet, we have set borrow cap on certain assets that allows us to have minimum risk towards this very volatile token, right? And we could do that for other token as well. So
that's super smart because like if you look at like Rari and Itchy, the Itchy contagion on Rari basically let people in a giant hole. So setting those caps and having that. Another interesting thing that I saw on your site were I think these are LP tokens that you guys are lending and borrowing. I'm super interested in what you guys are think is or you know say is the use case around these LP tokens. I saw that I was like I've seen this on like Taro and some Phantom in the past, but you know what's the purpose of lending and borrowing the LP tokens and what got you guys to push that out?
Ibo, you want to take this since you are the master of the video of how to borrow against LP?
Yeah, sure. So just to clarify real quick, you can deposit liquidity pool tokens on Folks Finance, though you can't borrow them. The reason you can't borrow them, I'm going to defer to Ben on that. That wasn't actually a decision that I was involved in.
I can give it quickly.
Yeah.
So the reason why you can't borrow those, it's because they represent actually a yield of someone else. So by borrowing those, you could simply go back in the DEX and take their liquidity, and maybe the user that is using it as a collateral doesn't want this. So that's the same reason why Algo is not borrowable, because they are more of an ownership token.
Right. That definitely makes sense. But even still, you can deposit the LP tokens on Folks Finance. Of course, if you're super new to DeFi, LP tokens are what you will receive when you deposit liquidity in a decentralized exchange pair. You will basically get a certain amount of tokens based on how much of each asset you put in. Of course, you have to put an equivalent amount of each asset. So, you know, when you put those LP or those tokens into the DEX and you get the LP tokens, that those LP tokens are worth what you put into the DEX. So by being able to deposit LP tokens on a lending market, you can extend the stretch of your collateral. Depending on how you do it, you can still be relatively safe, if not generally safe, if you have assets that are equivalent to each other. Like if you take the Algo to Algo pool on PactFi. PactFi is a DEX in the Algorand ecosystem. Those two assets are basically equivalent in price, so you're not really going to have any crazy fluctuation. So you can deposit those as a pretty safe, collateral, which will basically be equivalent to the value of Algo, and then you can go from there. So you can do cool things like mint some Algo, pair it with some Algo, put it in a DEX, and then bring it back into Folks Finance and use it again. So, you know, it just unlocks a whole nother level of creativity that people can use this for in their strategies. And I mean, from my perspective, that's what I want to do. Just unlock cool tooling that people can use and really, you know, spark their thinking of how they can get creative with crypto.
It is super.
It's capital efficiency, basically, just to add this. And a last thing is that we use the same safety mechanism that I mentioned before on the borrow cap also for the LP, because obviously we are relying on a trusted partner, which is the DEX, but yet it's still another protocol. So we try always to be as safe as possible in general. So we use the same safety measure.
I think it's super cool that, you know, if I want to hold a position, I want to hold an LP position, and I see the APR being earned. It's cool, but what's the benefit to you guys? Like, if you're not lending against the LP position, are you guys making revenue, or is this just like a nice to have feature for the community, like to help the community out and help them unlock?
Obviously it's more people taking loan, so we have the revenue from the borrow APR. Yes,
got it. So
right, we sorry to jump in. We want to if we can encourage and empower people to do more things with their crypto and do more things with their assets on chain, of course, like we're going to want to do that. So even if you can't borrow LP tokens, if you can still deposit them as collateral, you're likely to take a loan using those. And we could, then they would be paying interest, and of course, most of that goes to the people providing liquidity to the market. But of course, like a small percentage comes to folks finance. Though at this point, it's not even really about that. It's more just if you're holding LP tokens, we want to give you something different to do with them. We want to make sure that the user, the individual, has as many options as possible to go and do the strategy that they want to do. And personally, LP tokens deposits are very fascinating to me because you can get, like I said before, super creative with it, and that's what we want to empower.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think. All right, I have to ask. X in Web2 growth hacker doing some growth hacky stuff in Web3. Like, how'd you guys do it? Can you release like how'd you got so much liquidity in these times? Are there any like giveaway initiatives, and how are you looking to retain users in this market?
Ben, can I take this? So, there's a thing where Algorand governance is extremely popular. It's by far the most popular way to use Algo right now. I think last quarter, governance period 4, about 4 billion Algo were committed at the beginning of the period, and by the end of the period, about 3.5 billion remained. So that's about half the circulating supply of Algo. So clearly, governance is an extremely popular way to use Algo. Of course, it is a safe yield, and that's why people love it. If you're an exchange, a large holder, a whale, you probably are going to want the most basic safe yield. And if you can guarantee yourself at 5-6% APR, usually at a minimum per quarter, on a bag of 150 million or more Algo, of course you're going to take that. The problem was, as stated before, it's siphoning off liquidity from DeFi, NFTs, gaming, and other things that would really grow the ecosystem on a ground level. So last quarter, about 150 million G Algo were minted, but from a potential pool of 3.5 billion, that's barely even scratching the surface, just the tip of the iceberg of what could happen. So, I think that's the answer to your question. How were we able to grow liquidity? We were basically tapping into a pool that already existed. It just wasn't counted in TVL, but it was always there. And we came up with what we consider the most efficient and best way to tap into that.
It's like you did it like an additive vampire attack on the Algorand token itself, and then added all this utility at the same time. It's like genius. It's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. It's a compliment. I take it.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I mean, you have to be hyper creative, especially in the markets right now. In terms of moving forward, is it get more Algo, get more G Algo? Are there any other initiatives that you guys have to like help retain users?
Well, yes, of course. I mean, that's kind of what the purpose of my job here is. I'm just trying to grow the G Algo use case ecosystem to as large as it can be. Right? If you see things like wrapped ETH or staked ETH over on Ethereum, those are very widely used, very popular, accepted on many platforms, even on some centralized exchanges. Of course, long term, that's a goal that we would want to have for G Algo as well, to have it be legitimized, not just within the Algorand ecosystem, but out into other blockchains as well, and even on centralized exchanges if possible. So I think we just want to stretch the capital of Algorand so much, and governance is a pretty unique thing to Algorand. A lot of people who don't really know about Algorand don't know about this very powerful system that has been operating, without any downtime for a year. So of course we just want to boost that as much as possible, encourage that for as long as governance remains, and give people a reason to mint G Algo.
Love it. And in terms of other like liquidity incentives, reward initiatives, Any other alpha leaks that you can share with us?
In general, the foundation is investing a lot in DeFi and moving 7 million to the let's say the liquid governance option and DeFi options of the governance. It's already a demonstration of that, and let's see what will be the future. But we have been awarded with 2 million Algo from the Aeneas fund, which is also for DeFi adoption, DeFi incentives. So yeah, we have support from the foundation from that side, definitely. Ourselves, what we do is build, continuously try to innovate. So from our side, the incentive is always try to make a better protocol. We are working already on the version 2, which is going to be on testnet very soon, and hopefully mainnet by the end of November. So we always build. We are builders.
Yeah, another thing I wanted to highlight is actually something new that came from the Algorand Foundation in this last governance period, which is not only are they allocating 10% of the quarterly governance rewards to DeFi, that's the 7 million, about 70 million Algo are distributed per quarter, and they're taking 7 million and putting it into governance DeFi solutions. But they're now allowing people to stake their LP tokens from DEXs in governance as well. So if you have committed to a pool, like if you put Algo to USDC or Algo to Galgo or Algo to pretty much anything, it just has to have Algo in it, and it has to have above $10,000 in liquidity, I believe. You can commit those to governance, and that will count as a stake as well. So you can maintain your liquidity on a DEX, but also earn yield in governance. Not only that, they added another feature to this where last week they announced that they'll enable the staking of these LP tokens that have been put into governance in DeFi. So what you could do is put your assets into an LP, stake it in governance, and then bring it onto, for example, Folks Finance, and deposit it and do whatever you want with that as well. You could mint more Galgo, you could take a loan, you could do whatever you want. So it just further unlocks another level of creativity, and every time this another level of utility gets added, that really kind of compounds the capability of the strategy that you can do. So it's super exciting to see these things happening, and I commend the Algorand Foundation for taking that risk, I would say, for being open to these DeFi strategies and not kind of sticking to the traditional, just normal governance.
Yeah, experimenting is the thing in Web3, especially in this market. And I'm really happy that Algorand Foundation supported you guys. And I was really bullish on Algorand, and still are. My journey started with Tiny Man. But yeah, thank you guys so much. And actually, I have some people who wants to ask some questions. And Josh Algo, if you have any questions, please speak up.
I do have a question for Benedetto or whoever wants to take it. You guys definitely, and I don't know if you talked about this before I hopped in, I'm sorry if I'm repeating something, but the Mango hack, essentially with their borrow and lend protocol, somebody manipulated the price of a very low cap coin and then essentially deposited those coins, and they had a ton of leverage, right? Because the protocol saw those tokens and was just getting the price from the oracle like it always does, and there's nothing wrong with that. But essentially it's around like the borrowing limits on these low cap coins. So like, just for an example with your platform, I could take like 500K and then go buy like all the planets that I could get my hand on. So it's a very low cap coin. And then I could raise the price like 500% and then go on to Folks, deposit that, and then take all the USDC and all the USDT out. And you would profit on that trade, and there'd be nothing left in Folks. But I'm curious what your protection is against that. Like, are there different limits given different, market caps? Or
Yes, John. Thank you for the question. It's an interesting example. We actually touched this before, but this is a way to explain it properly so that everyone understands. So simply, we have the borrow cap set for such type of token. So basically, if you even have a large amount of planets and you deposit it already after, let's say, altering the real price even on a DEX, because you may know which DEX we use as liquidation, right? So even if you don't want to make revenue, if you just want to hard us, you could. But since we have borrow cap, the risk that we are taking is very small. So even if you can buy with 1 million worth for our Oracle, let's say, of Planet, and you try to draw on the liquidity of USDC, you cannot, because there is the borrow cap like to $30,000. So you are not doing much really. And we use this also for the LP from the DEX, because if you think we are taking a risk of having an LP as a collateral, and think of, for example, the hack that Tiny Man had, right? So the LP could be considered much worth at a certain point than the actual real value. And then someone could just come and borrow against it, everything as you said. We don't allow it. We simply limit the borrow cap. And then if we see that the pool is more secure, if the assets, for example, the market cap grows through time, we can increase it, we can decrease it as well. So we have this type of safety measure.
Got it. So it's just like a fixed USD value cap that you can withdraw. Is that right? You say 30?
That you can borrow against it. It's something like that right now. I don't remember. So it's not about withdrawing. It's just there isn't a lot of liquidity that you can borrow for planets, for example.
This is why I love folks, because you have a question, you come ask Benedetto, and you get a straight answer. And that's why we're super bullish at NFTs for folks. So yeah, congrats, Benedetto and team.
Thank you, John. And for those who doesn't know John, he's co-founder of Transaction Lab and NFD, which is a name service .algo, the best and mostly used on the ecosystem.
I think it's super interesting the strategy that you guys are doing. I think we have a little bit of connectivity issues going on. I think it's really interesting the strategy you guys are taking. One of the other strategies that I heard was doing isolated markets. Is this something that you guys are interested in doing potentially in the future, or really concentrating on the algorithm that you have and making sure people don't overborrow from these particular low cap tokens?
So security for us will be always at first. We can take risk, and we will take risk only of how much our treasury can cover, let's say. So we are very risk adverse. So we want to keep this design for the future. But in general, the isolated pool in the version 2 are going to be different. I'm not gonna spoil anything because I'm very tempted, but I'm still keeping it confidential for now.
What? No alpha leaks here?
No, I cannot really. My team will kill me. They will fire me.
What I do want to say is in V2, you'll be able to do, when I'm talking about getting creative with your strategy, what you can do on Folks V1 will be 10x in V2. So that's just all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I can add on this that for us, one of, let's say, vision that we have is to have the most flexible and efficient law unknown chain, so that we can be taken as an example, right? And when one day traditional financial institutions will want to use such a solution for their customer and so on, they are going to look at us as the best way of doing that. So that's what we want to do. And we already did this community feedback, a good job in V1. And then we listened also to the community to what they didn't like. For example, I can tell it's a bit frictioned, the usage of F token or FR token. F token is the deposit token of Volksfinance, and FR token, the rewards token. So we are going to get rid of that in the version 2, so the user has not to deal with it. And it's going to be a much more simplified user experience. So that's also why we are really looking forward to making it, because we want that our community enjoy when they use the protocol. And
just to add on that real quick, in V2, like Ben said, we're taking away some of those aspects in V1, which created friction for the user, and that's freeing up a lot of space for us to implement features that will give more freedom to the users and give more possibilities for what they want to do. And we're trying to make Folks Finance into that DeFi hub that you can go to and construct your trading strategy, your yield farming strategy, or your portfolio management strategy. However you want. You can create a long position, a short position, a hedge position in a lot of different ways. And V2 is going to be really, really good for that.
That's amazing. I'm going to open it up for a couple more questions. If anybody from the audience wants to come up and ask a question, I think what you guys are doing is really amazing. There's a lot of innovation here. The governance liquid staking is phenomenal. It really kind of is challenging some of the concepts around the other types of staking and the other types of governments and voting that people are doing. It looks like somebody wanted to join up here. In lieu of that, are there any questions you wish we would have asked, Ibu or Ben?
I'm trying to think, but I think the audience will have some great questions. I know Joe came up here, so maybe we could ask him what he wanted to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is I definitely don't intend to break the to get too high level with this, but you guys are the DeFi kings, so I want to open this up and see. I'm sure there are some people in the audience that are wondering the same thing, and that is when am I going to be able to borrow against real world assets with crypto?
Well, yeah, let me get into this. So, of course, we want to put non-crypto assets into the protocol. That is a long-term goal for sure. Super important to be able to do that. So when you're using a DeFi protocol, when you're using Folks Finance, you can get exposure to things that aren't related to the crypto market. As we've seen, everything in the crypto market generally moves together at this point. So, the long-term plan, we're thinking about possibly doing, real estate, getting that on the platform somehow. NFTs, we want to get that on the platform somehow, and maybe even more traditional things that are offered by centralized entities. But of course, none of this is set in stone. We obviously have to work it all out. But the vision is, of course, to have as many, a diversified asset offering, so people can really, again, like I always say, just get creative and do what they want to do, but in this permissionless way. And that's really the permissionless part is really the most important thing. And as long as we can continue to provide assets that people ask for, we're going to do that.
I think I have missed the question, but from your answer, Ibo, I think I can connect to this. So I have my personal perception of decentralized finance, which is right now purely trading of crypto, right? It's also a lot about moving from a protocol to another based where the incentives are. Better APR, I move here and then I go there, but that is not going to drive mass adoption. That for me is clear. Also because even bear markets came and everything goes down and no new users. It's difficult to grow if we always keep this view over this sector, right? So over this industry. So I really think that mass adoption will come when we can take different type of assets, real world tokenized assets, for example, and be able to use it as a collateral in, let's talk about the lending use case itself. And by having that, which is a real utility, then at this point, I'm sure I will be able to convince my father to use a DeFi protocol. Obviously, as Ibu said, there are limits, let's say difficulties on having this permissionless way. But in my opinion, when we will be able to have secondary market of tokenized assets which already exist, like there already exists tokenized real estate, to have it freely tradable in a permissionless way, that will be really the game changer, and will drive the mass adoption for sure into DeFi.
Awesome. Thank you,
And
guys.
also, from our perspective, until anything is an Algorand standard asset, we can list it. And what we need in addition is a price for this token and someone willing to buy it if it's being liquidated as a collateral. So not difficult really to reach this. I see there is Oyster here. Hi, Oyster, please.
Hey, join us.
Hey, great space. Yeah, speaking of real world assets, have you reached out or you have been in discussions with Algorand with they're planning to their gold and silver products? I think also palladium. Obviously, like you said, you need a robust, reliable price oracle. But just curious, I mean, that would be obviously one. That's like I think the closest thing we have right now for real world assets coming.
Thanks, Oyster, for connecting to this. So I will give a bit of background for those that doesn't know what's Algomint. So Algomint is a bridge. It was actually the first bridge on Algorand, and they started wrapping Bitcoin natively from Bitcoin and Ethereum. So now they are more focusing on other type of use case, which I found it very smart and very useful. So you can actually already buy right now synthetics of silver. They are backed from real world asset. So you can buy silver and gold. And Oyster, the reason why they are not already on Fox Finance is because we stopped the work of listing new assets until we go live with version 2. We are focusing our developer right now on completing the version 2, so that when we launch the version 2, we can have a lot of assets. So yes, there will be. The answer is yes. We are already
touch,
and I think this is going to be fantastic. Myself,
yes.
I
will go. We got some alpha today.
Able to sneak a little alpha in there. One of the questions that I had is like, Algorand tokens are starting to get into CeFi. It looks like FTX now supports Algo USDC. Does this affect you guys? Are you scared of this? Are you hyped about this? What's your opinion on that?
You can't imagine how many times we have a Sunday. For me, it's afternoon. For US, is morning. Twitter space, which is called Algo Fam, and how many times we discussed this. You can't imagine the community how much wanted to have a gateway on a major centralized exchange for USDC. You should know that Algorand was the second integration of Silk. So USDC was actually being used in a very early stage on Algorand. And I asked myself a lot of time how this was possible that it was not integrated on centralized exchange from the beginning, right? We saw the USDC growth, but we never saw the USDC growth on Algorand, which was weird since it was one of the first chain used natively. And now it's happening. And this is, in my opinion, very important because as soon as now the other exchange will see the adoption of USDC that can get on FTX, because honestly, transacting on Algorand is really the best because you pay nothing and it's always reliable. It never goes down. 3 seconds and you get your assets transferred. So I think many users will start to appreciate it. Myself, I just read on Twitter and I see a lot of Algorand community saying, now I'm going to open an FTX account. So this will be as example for the other major exchange. And adding to that, obviously for us in as DeFi project, it will be still a benefit because a lot of people has an FTX account, and in that time, if they want to move to Algorand DeFi non-custodial wallet on Terra or MyAlgo or the others, DeFi, there is the aggregator, there is also Exodus now. It will be easy. It will be extremely easy compared to before, and they can do it quickly. So it's more potential user for us.
Yeah, I want to add on. So a few weeks ago, we were in San Francisco for Converge, which is Circle's conference. And I actually ran into Jeremy Allaire at an event, and I asked him, when can we see Algorand on more exchanges like Coinbase, Binance, and FTX? That was only about 2 weeks ago. So clearly he must have known something and he didn't tell me, because at that moment he said, well, we need to wait and see because there needs, it's not really up to me. There needs to be demand from institutions and traders that are actually going to use the USDC. 2 weeks later, of course, we get this announcement that came out yesterday. FTX has listed USDC from Algorand. So that makes me super bullish on Algorand because clearly maybe it was Scaramucci. Scaramucci has a connection to SBF. SBF bought about 30% of Scaramucci's crypto fund. Maybe Scaramucci's talking to him saying, hey, get Algorand on Algorand USDC on FTX. Who knows? That's speculation from me. But clearly someone or some parties were saying to Sam, hey, we want to be using USDC on Algorand. I don't think FTX does this just out of the blue because they feel like it. So I'm super excited to see the volumes of USDC that get used over the next few months. I expect it to go up significantly because FTX is the third biggest exchange in the world. And I think a lot of liquidity can come onto Algorand very easily because of this. And I think, we could be in for a very, very big TVL boom. Of course, that's just my opinion, but that's what I think is going to happen here. And I'm excited for it.
That's super exciting. I think, big moves like that with like USDC. I was talking to or listened to a podcast with Zagion Cosmos, and they got the DYDX going on the app chain, and so wherever USDC goes, liquidity follows, right? So this is rad.
Yeah, we need though Anthony and Sam to talk to the New York State regulators. So get USDC support, get FTX licensed in New York State.
One day.
This has been rad, guys. Hey, got another thing coming up in a couple minutes, and I just want to throw it out there that you can go to Folks Finance. If people want to engage with you guys, what's the best ways of engaging with Folks Finance, learning about your DApp, learning about Algo? I'll throw it out to you guys to close this out.
So we have different channels of direct community support. One is Telegram, one is Discord, but we have great community management. So wherever you type us, we are going to answer as soon as we see it. And there is no unanswered question from Folks Finance. So anything you want, we are very transparent. Everything can be found on the documentation. And if you need support to learn everything, we are here for you. Feel free to reach us out.
Yeah,
Awesome.
And in addition, if you're a new user or you have already been using and you're not really sure, how to maximize, I would say go check out the videos that we've produced. on our YouTube channel. They're also in the docs, and you can also find them on our Twitter. Those will give you some context on different things you can do with Folks Finance, how to make the most of every feature that we have. So it's a great tool if you want to learn.
I think I saw Algo go from 25 million to 26 million during this Twitter Spaces AMA. So I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that. Pat you guys on the back.
Wow. Okay. Love it.
This is rad. And it's
Was it your wallet?
No, it wasn't my wallet. But maybe. No, it wasn't my wallet. Go follow Folks Finance on Twitter, Telegram, Discord. Connected with them. Bunch of USDC liquidity coming into the Algorand ecosystem, and so big moves. And these guys are on the forefront of it. Awesome, guys. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us here. It was very fun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the space. Really appreciate it.
Very cool. All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Yeah, bye-bye.